Hello guys, this is Anka and today we're going to talk about the last two pieces on the chessboard, which is the queen and the knight. So the queen is right beside the king at the D file. And it's at the center of the board. And if you can't remember it properly, just remember that whatever color player you are, for example, if you're white, your queen is on the white square. And if you're black, your queen is on the black square, the dark square, over here. Okay. Yeah, and the knights are right beside the rooks at the very corner of the board, and yeah, they're like just a bit off from the corner, and yeah, that's what the knight pushes hard. And your knight have one light square and one dark square knight at first, but then they can move to other squares later on. Yeah. So let's move on to the queen. So basically, how the queen moves is that it's basically a rook plus a bishop. So a rook plus a bishop equals the queen. Okay, and yeah. And so the queen can move like a rook, which can move vertically and horizontally. Can also move diagonally, like the bishop. And the thing with the queen is that it can not only move to one color square of the diagonal, it can also when it starts on the light square, it can also move to the dark square because it can move horizontally and vertically. So that's why it's way more powerful than a bishop or rook. And it can move to a whole lot of squares, as you saw, and in any direction. And is you can say as a rook plus bishop, or you can also say as king, but then it can move to as many squares as it want, unless the other pieces blocks you. Yeah, so the queen is a rook plus a bishop, or a powerful king. Yeah, and something that makes the some tactical positioning that you can use to the queen is that you can put a bishop in front of the queen, or the other way around. It also works. So basically, what happens is that the bishop can or the queen can get access to this whole diagonal, and with the queen protecting the bishop, it can go take a lot of pieces without any fear of getting captured, because if it gets captured, for example, by a rook, and nothing is protecting this rook, then the queen can capture the rook, which is really nice. So then you can gain material, and if you don't gain material, the bishop is probably close to the king or something, I don't know, and yeah, or you can capture something on this way over here, and then it cannot be captured back, or else your opponent will lose material. That's why it's really powerful. And if the queen is in front, it's usually to attack the king. So basically, if you do this, the king cannot take the queen because the bishop is protecting the queen. So then the queen is checkmated, which means that it's being attacked and it cannot move to any other squares. Yeah, and that's about the queen plus bishop. Now let's move on to the queen plus rook. So the queen plus rook is basically the same thing, but then it's on a file, a vertical file, or it can be in a horizontal, horizontal line. Yeah. And so basically, when you put a rook in front of a queen, the rook can capture a lot of stuff on this file, and if it gets captured, if there's nothing protecting this, or it is bigger than your queen, then you can capture the queen. So then, yeah, that is something that makes the queen more powerful. Okay, so let's move on. So next we have the knight. So knight moves 2 squares straight, either horizontally or vertically, and then it can move sideways 1 square. So move vertically 2 squares, and then horizontally 1 square, vertically 2 square, horizontally 1 square, horizontally 2 squares, and then sideways one. Something, and yeah, like it just moves like this and this. Yeah, and it cannot do like this. You cannot say like, oh yeah, I moved 2 squares and I move another square. No, it can only be sideways. Okay, and it cannot jump 2 squares like diagonally and I move 1 square because it is like just not allowed to do that. Okay, so that, yeah, there's and some special things about the knight is that it can skip over other pieces. So at the starting position, you have all these pawns in front of your knights, and then the knight can jump over the pawns, which is really nice. So if you have like a bunch of enemy pawns over here or something, I don't know, let's just say like something like this. Let's say something like this, yeah. And then your knight can, yeah. Then your knight can move over here, which is really, so then none of the pawns can protect the knight. And then the knight can like sneak into all these squares. And like it threatens to attack this pawn and this pawn, and it threatens to go to this square. And that's why the knight can be very sneaky. Another special thing about the knight is that it can like fork other stuff very easily because none of the pieces can move the same way as the knight does. So for example, if you have something like this, now you can move your knight over here and attack both the king and the queen. And yeah, so that's like the queen cannot capture the knight because the queen cannot move the knight. The queen can only move to this square or this square or this square, but just not this square. And then the king is out of range because his legs are too short and it's an old man. So that's how you win material. Yeah, it's called a fork because like the knight attacks something or something attacks 2 pieces, 2 enemy pieces at once. It's called a fork. Yeah. Another special thing about the knight, or like, yeah. So basically, it can. So for example, if it's on a dark square, it can only move to a light square next. So if you're dark square, and you see that all of the squares that it can move to are light squares. And similarly, if it's on a light square, it can only move to dark squares. Yeah, this makes it pretty special, and yeah, that is all about the knight and the queen. Okay, and see you. Sorry. So yeah, the queen. Let's review it for a little bit. The queen is basically a super powerful king or a rook plus bishop. So then it can move diagonally as a bishop, or horizontally as horizontally and vertically as a rook. And then we have the knight, which is special because it can jump over pieces. It can move the way that the queen or any other pieces cannot move. Moves 2 squares in a row and then jump to the sideways. And yeah, that is all about the queen and the knight. See you in the next video.